G'day guys, my name is Wildkard. Super Rugby Round 6. The Reds versus the Waratahs. The old rivalries at it. Suncorp Stadium. Nick Barry, starring Nick Barry, the best referee in Australia. This was, I thought this was a bit of one-sided affair, especially in the second half. The Waratahs really didn't look that threatening, except for like the first maybe 15 minutes of the game. They really lit themselves quite a bit. I feel like the intensity wasn't there. I felt like they kind of like, it felt like they'd given up a bit, especially in the second half. That's what I kind of saw out of the players when they were on the field. So yeah, let's talk about the Waratahs at the start. Jamie Roberts, Lions tour. What is it? What was it? 2000? Was it 2000? Yes, I think it was. Was it 2000? No, it was Lions Tour 2012. Okay, Jamie Roberts scored that final try to win the Lions Tour. Well, we already lost that one, but you know, he's playing, starting at number 12 for the Waratahs. Finally, he gets the start. He was off the bench with like 5 minutes and off the bench. Finally gets the start. It was not too bad. I thought it was pretty good. He managed to get over the advantage line. No handling errors. So yeah, much better than I was expecting. From the former Lions Tour winner in Australia. So yeah, he was really good. And I was pretty excited to see him play, actually. So the Waratahs, like I said, came out with a lot of really, really good game. It was looking like they could potentially take this win at the start. There was a lot of really excellent handling going at the start. They ended up with scoring a try. There was a lot of speed and good clinical execution. And the players, despite there was bucketing down rain, looked like unaffected. They were happy to throw the ball around with quite a lot of ease, quite a lot of basketball passing going on. Really good offloading at the beginning. And it was looking really, really good for the Waratahs, and really looking like the Reds could be facing a big task ahead of them, could potentially lose this one from the way that the game started. But then it all kind of just slowly fell off. And in fact, in the second half, the Waratahs look like they've given up a bit, to be really frank. So what happened? Everything went the Waratahs maybe a bit too well at the beginning of the game. So the team were kind of like fighting back and forward. And then Xander, the Reds' loose set prop, puts a shouldering on the Waratahs' hard head prop. Ruan Smith, no, not the South African second rower, but I think he's Argentinian. But yeah, anyway, this tight head prop gets hit in the shoulder by the loose head prop from the Reds. Xander gets red carded. So Waratahs are playing with one man extra, and you can see Waratahs trying to do stuff out of this, and then almost immediately, Tate McDermott. So Waratahs has this line out just outside the Reds 22. The throw is short, so Tate McDermott is in the train tracks defending this. The hooker throws it short to the guy in front. I think with the prop in front of the prop. Tries to pop the ball back to the hooker. Tate McDermott, out of reflex, smacks the ball. Deliberate not gone. Yellow card. So suddenly, the Waratahs were up by 2 players for about 10 minutes of the match. And things were almost like going too well for the Waratahs. But the Reds, having the experience that they have, having that leadership, having that, James O'Connor, I think his kicking game was absolutely excellent. Was able to manage the game, only conceding 3 points for the entire duration of the yellow and the red cards. And obviously, this is Super Rugby. Red cards only goes for 20 minutes. So, yeah, the Reds were able to get away with 3 points. If you don't count the initial 3 points the Waratahs took for that initial red card. So, Waratahs took 3 points when that red card was issued for that penalty. But for the duration of the actual red card, only consider 3 points. And it was like a desperate 3 points that they really, really wanted some points on the board after almost, watching the clock almost running out. And I thought it was a really bad decision, especially if you had time left, should have gone for a try. That is a sign of the team in my opinion, giving up. So I was not very impressed by that decision there to not go for the jugular, even there was only like 1 minute or something left in both cards. They should have gone for the jugular there. So that was, yeah, really questionable. So for the Reds, like I already mentioned, shot really, really good game management despite playing with only 13 players at one point for about 10 minutes of the game. They were clearly had a stock scrum dominance despite having a player in the bin in the 4-pack. So they had to put on the reserve loose set prop and having McWright taken off the field, so playing the scrummaging. With one person missing, the Reds were able to win tie-hair scrum against the Waratahs. So Danella Tupou was absolutely amazing this game once again. Huge ship for him. He almost scored 2 tries. He scored 1. And it was just, yeah, really, really huge effort from him. And it was very, very impressive, to be really frank with you. And then another guy that was super, super impressive was James O'Connor once again. Every week, he seems to just be getting that little bit better, a little bit more experience added to his books, and he's just being able to execute everything just a little bit better, just knowing what to do, doing the exact right things, the exact right times. Despite the Waratahs were, obviously having 2 people players advantage, James O'Connor was able to basically lure the Tahs into like a kicking game, and I was able to basically dominate the kicking game. And the Waratahs were essentially losing territory to James O'Connor's kicking game. And as soon as the players are back on the field, that kicking game is just immediately almost like stopped for James O'Connor. He's managed the game exactly needs to be do to get his team in the right spot, to get his team in the right positions, and then knows exactly what he needs to do at the exact right time. So I actually can't believe this, but his kicking is still developing and is still getting better. I was very impressed. Also, he seems to have added more distance out of his kicks. So I'm pretty sure he used to only able to kick like, 35, 40 meters. Like today, he was constantly belting that ball 50 plus meters down the field. It was really, even with his touch finders, he was able to consistently put the ball inside, within 10 minutes of the Waratahs try line from his own half, right? He gets a penalty around the halfway mark. He punts it into the 10, within the, around the 5 meter mark in the Waratahs, in the Waratahs, in the Waratahs side. Constantly, it was really, really, really good clinical kicking. Jordan Patea once again was really good on the high ball in the fullback position. He also has a huge boot as well. He was able to constantly be able to punt this ball back, diffuse the situation quite well for the Reds. He was able to punt like 50, 60 meters as well, by the looks of it, and really accurate, and just really like the Waratahs gets these balls, and you can tell the players are just going, wow, this guy just kicked 55, 60 meters to me. I can't kick that far. I guess I'll have to just, kick it out at the halfway point, and, we'll go for the line out there. So you can see, like, the deflated response from the Waratahs players when they are getting out-kicked so badly on the field. It was a really, really good performance by the Reds in that regard as well. So overall, four tries for the Reds. Obviously, when the 2 players came back onto the field, the Reds were able to easily take control. And then Waratahs just... I thought I was a bit disappointed. It looked like they were giving up. 28 run meters for the Reds, 458 for the Waratahs. 6 turnovers conceded for the Reds. Waratahs conceded 11 despite having player advantage. Reds 149 tackles, 20 missed tackles. Waratahs 135, 15 missed tackles. Kicks in play, pretty much the same numbers, but the Reds were able to significantly get more meters out of these kicks. And it was really, really impressive. James O'Connor, 2 missed conversions, whilst the Waratahs landed all of the conversions. The lineouts, Reds really struggled a little bit. Maybe it was the rain, maybe it was the Waratahs preparation, but Reds really struggled a bit. 5 losses in the lineouts. That is, extremely bad. Scrums, however, the Reds had clear dominance there. 2 scrums penalties against the Waratahs. Turnover, despite having 1 play in the bin. At least one of these scrums, I'm pretty sure one of the scrums, if not both, occurred when the Reds had to play with 7 people on the field. So that was super good. Reds, penalty count 7. Only 7 penalties. 1 red, 1 yellow in that 7. So overall, still had more discipline, but the severity of this discipline really, stacked up against the Reds a little bit. Waratahs, 13 penalties. especially in the second half, they kind of just allow the Reds to pick back at some of those penalties, get inside their own half, putting themselves under a lot of pressure, unnecessary pressure, and eventually faltering to the Reds' attacks. So yeah, so let's go over quickly go through the tries. So right from the beginning of the game, we can see that the scrum dominance was showing for the Reds, but the Waratahs had really good handling, really beautiful attack structure, despite it was still raining, like bucketing and raining at the start. And yeah, Waratahs is first team you get on the scoreboard with 8 minutes into the game. Good handling to the sideline, pass to the sideline, and there was just a bit of a basketball passing before their players was taken out, and eventually Grant was the recipient of the final pass thrown back in the field before the Waratahs player was taken out. He gets the ball, crashes over for the first try into the corner of the Waratahs. Eight minutes into the game. So it was looking like game on. It looking like Waratahs came out to bring it. But then the Reds just slowly stabilized the game. 26 minutes in, Reds gets their first try on the ball. Tate McDermott runs through the huge run by the Reds team. A bit of basketball passing between the teammates. Blythe, is it Blythe? I think he gets the ball. He pick and go, and he looked like the Reds almost gonna score. He kind of like pick and go to the blind side. He looked like no one was there, and he gets smashed by Sinclair, and then push it out on the 5-meter line. The Reds had a penalty advantage. Reds takes the penalty advantage to a Moore, and then it looked like the Moore went over the try line, and Sinclair gets Sinclair, I think his name is, gets his leg under the ball, so was held up again. But eventually, the Reds are able to get the try in with McDermott at 26th minute, finally following a lot of pressure being applied to the Waratahs team. And then around the also at this point the red card occurred for Xander. So Reds a 30-minute mark exact. Xander goes off the field, and then McDermott was looking a little bit, I would say, a little bit hot-headed after this red card. So he took like a quick tap when the Reds clearly needed to control the game for more points on the board and try to slow the game down a little bit. So maybe because he was a little bit, hot-headed, the Reds, despite the McDermott kind of taking a quick tap for easily 3 points, the Reds were able to find themselves in the scrum, Waratahs scrum, and then Waratahs were able to, and the Reds were able to win the scrum with a 7-man penalty, gets a penalty there. So Reds were like really able to rescue themselves from their mistakes with their scrummaging. I was kind of like the story of the game. 38 minutes, McDermott gets yellow carded for deliberate knock-on, and going to halftime, the Reds were 13 points to 10 up, but with 2 players in the bin to play for an extra 10 minutes in the second half. So at halftime, the Reds was up in the run meters, 329 to 120. The penalty count was 4 against the Reds, 8 against the Waratahs, and 1 red and 1 yellow out of the 4 penalties that was given against the Reds. Second half starts, the Waratahs came out. You can see they were under pressure to kind of like perform. It's like one of those things where, you are told to perform. You got to do this. You have to score. Like the expectations were so high. The execution was, as a result, actually suffer for the Waratahs. So the Waratahs came out, despite playing against 13 players, was not able to really put themselves in a position to score. And then on the 45th minute, the Waratahs takes 3 points. And at that moment, you knew it was over for the Waratahs. They still had like at least 3 to 4 minutes left before the Reds were able to put up 1 player on. They've already given the opportunity up to score a try. Opt to take 3 points. In fact, the 3 points is only to level the game at 13 points apiece. You can imagine. This is not even like 3 points to put themselves ahead or something. This is only levels the game at 13 points apiece. Despite still having 2 players in the bin, advantage for the Reds. And Waratahs, noticeably giving up at this point. After this, the Reds came back to full strength. More great kicking game from the James O'Connor. And it's just was able to really pin the Waratahs down their own side. On the 53rd minute, the Reds were able to kind of like put in a lot of pressure short of the Waratahs try line. Tupou picks up the ball, like steps over a couple of his own players and stepped over like Waratahs player on the ground, crashes over for a try. was looking pretty good. Second try for the Reds. On the 64th minute, and then after that, the Waratahs kind of tries to build something, but their handling errors clearly starting to build at this point. The Reds will have to capitalize on these errors. On the 65th minute, the Reds like just picking back on the Waratahs penalties, were able to get inside the Waratahs 22. Again, just start pounding the Waratahs try line with their 4-pack. It looked like Tupou had scored, and then he may or may not be on the try line, but the Reds didn't let the referee stop the game. They kept them going. Fraser McRae eventually sees the ball out the back, picks up, puts the ball down. Try time for the Reds. And then 2 minutes later, again the Waratahs just sloppy execution. Was able to, the number 10 throws a pass and it was just really sloppy. He saw an overlap and he just really tried to push to the pass, and then it was pretty much read by John Campbell. Gets the intercept, runs like 60 meters for the Reds' 4th try, putting the Waratahs like really big trouble here. Waratahs eventually tried to build some pressure. Finally, on the 77th minute, Waratahs were able to get a penalty. They kicked the penalty out for like a 5-meter line out, sets up a maul, and this maul was executed properly and yielded the Waratahs a final try on the 77th minute. So yeah, this was a game that I thought the Waratahs kind of let themselves down, especially in the second half. The grit and the grit and the determination, the desire to win the game in the second half clearly was not there for the Waratahs. And then once again, the Reds' leadership, the Reds' management, the Reds' experience from some of their core players carried the team through, and put the Reds comfortably in for a win over the Waratahs in the rain. 32 points to 20 final score. Name me all your thoughts. And I just noticed that McDermott scored the first try, and I think I called him McRae early in the video. But you're not going to see this because you probably closed the video when I called him McRae. Whatever. And thank you for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts on this game, if you watched it, if you didn't watch it. And I do appreciate you being here, and have a good weekend. I'll see you guys next week for the news. Cheers. Have a good one.